All right, what's up, guys? The Iceman here on this Monday afternoon. Did some Christmas shopping, and it is the day after the night of WWE's TLC pay per view. And I would have to say this: I did enjoy the pay per view. Um, I wasn't happy with the unified title match as far as the outcome goes, but it was a clean match. There was no interference. Um, what can you say about it? Randy Orton and John Cena, as far as I'm concerned, delivered, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But the pre-show match started off with Dolph Ziggler going up against Fandango. Again, another heartbreaking loss for Dolph Ziggler. A very short match, and you know, I heard Michael Cole and JBL talking about Fandango just like really motivating himself in the last couple weeks. And I don't know. I just don't know where things lie for Dolph Ziggler at this point in time because it seems like he's always losing on matches that he really should come out and win. But anyway, Ziggler took the loss. I predicted him to win. I was wrong. All right, 3-on-1 handicap match kicked off the show for the pay-per-view, which I was totally shocked that CM Punk was kicking off the show. But it actually was the match that made sense to me, really, because what better way than to start the show than having one of your popular superstars, CM Punk, in there with three other popular superstars, the Shield. So this match, I thought there was going to be some sways and some swerves and whatnot. I thought maybe Roman Reigns was going to maybe turn babyface tonight. He didn't turn babyface, but I'll tell you, this was a damn good 3-on-1 handicap match. I don't think you could have gotten it much better. CM Punk showed why he is the best in the world. He knew how to manipulate the guys within the ring. He knew how to stay within his corner. Uh, there were instances where both CM Punk and other members of the Shield could have been, taken down. CM Punk was resilient, and it really wasn't until the end where CM Punk was after, Dean Ambrose, and it was sort of funny. Here comes, well, I will say this: Roman Reigns went after CM Punk, and Punk got out of the way, and Reigns went over the announce booth table, hit a chair, and he really swelled up his eye. And at that point, I didn't think Reigns was going to continue in the match, but with CM Punk in the ring, getting ready to take care of Dean Ambrose, who comes in? Seth Rollins. Punk gives him the go to sleep, and then Reigns comes in to spear CM Punk. CM Punk moves out of the way. Roman Reigns ends up spearing Dean Ambrose, and it's history. CM Punk ends up pinning Dean Ambrose for the victory, and it was a great match. I really enjoyed this match. Like I said, I was surprised at the way they did it, but they did a good job on this match, so I was very, 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 very pleased with this match. So, all right, up next, the Divas Championship match. Now, with all the turmoil and the trouble that AJ Lee had just recently during the filming of Tribute to the Troops, she sort of lost her cool and sort of did her little crazy thing. We really thought that the WWE was going to reprimand her, and I honestly thought the belt was done for AJ Lee. And she came out with Tamina, and again, Tamina wasn't really that much of a factor in this match, so to speak. But this was a very good Divas match. It's one of these matches that they gave a lot of time to, and Natalya on several occasions had AJ Lee where she wanted her, and I really thought Natalya was going to become the new Divas champion. But AJ Lee just dug down deep, and she was very, very resilient. And I'll tell you something: AJ Lee ended up pulling the hair of Natalya, rolling her up for a pin, and got the win. I was totally shocked. I really thought the WWE was going to take the belt away from her for what she had done to Michelle Beadle. from NBC. So, but anyway, a good match nonetheless. Then we saw Biggie Langston against Damian Sandow. And I really didn't think Damian Sandow really had too much of a chance in this match. You know, they pushed him and then they slowed down the push. And then the push started going for Biggie Langston. And he's been like a freight train. He's plowing everything out of his way. And tonight was no different. Biggie Langston was just like dominating on Damian Sandow. It was a very good match, though, as well. I really enjoyed this match. Most matches tonight were pretty darn good for the most part. I did enjoy this, and Biggie Langston did retain the Intercontinental title, and I pretty much suspected that to happen anyway. So, but anyhow, then up we have none other than the World Tag Team Championship match, four-way elimination match. Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus the Real Americans with Zeb Coulter and Ryback and Curtis Axel and Rey Mysterio with the Big Show. Now, this tag team match lasted quite a bit of time. It wasn't a bad match, and Ryback and Curtis Axel looked pretty good for the most part, but didn't last too much longer after they started out because they ended up getting eliminated. And so in any event, it was down to Goldust, Cody Rhodes, Rey Mysterio, Big Show, Antonio Cesaro, and Jack Swagger. Now, again, pretty good tag team, fatal four-way. A lot of action involved in this match. But, again, shoot. I'm going to say it. Shit happens. And the Real Americans ended up getting eliminated. And it was down to Big Show and Rey Mysterio going up against Cody and Goldust. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. There's no way in hell is Rey Mysterio and Big Show going to win the tag team titles at this point in time. And, I was in fear of that, but it didn't happen. So anyway, Goldust and Cody retained in a very good fatal four-way match. Then we had Brodus Clay with Tensai and the Funkadactyls versus R-Truth with Xavier Woods. Now, Brodus Clay has been teasing the heel turn as of late, and he showed it again tonight, or last night, I should say. And Tensai was getting on his case and telling him, you have the opportunity. This is TLC. It's a pay-per-view. Make yourself look big. Get the pin. Do it now. Brodus Clay had no part of that. He just wanted to beat down R-Truth. So Tensai left the ring and walked away. And then Brodus wanted the Funkadactyls to go in position where he wanted them to. They turned around and they left the ring. And all of a sudden, R-Truth catches Clay with a kick to the jaw and covers him for the win. So Brodus Clay, your heel turn looks pretty much there. And but again, you got the loss. Then on the pre-show, we saw a confrontation with The Miz and Kofi Kingston, where Kofi ended up slapping The Miz. So they presented a match tonight with no DQ rules. Kofi and The Miz getting into the ring and, very, very, equal within the ring. They've had a lot of history together and whatnot. And it didn't surprise me that if this match went back and forth, and eventually, Miz tried to expose the turnbuckle for his advantage, but it turned on him where Kofi ended up sending Miz face first into the turnbuckle. And then he catched him with a Trouble in Paradise, and Kofi Kingston end up defeating The Miz. But again, a pretty good match. Then we get to what a lot of people were waiting for. Daniel Bryan against the Wyatt family, and I'll tell you, Wyatt family's pretty damn weird to me, and there was no way in hell I really thought that Daniel Bryan was going to end up, coming out on top of this match. But as we all know, Daniel Bryan never gives up. He's like John Cena. He just went to town. He did what he could, trying to pick each guy apart as much as he could. And it finally got to the point where Bray Wyatt came into the ring, and we saw him do his, upside down spider type walk, which is sort of really creepy to a lot of people. Um, but Daniel Bryan really, you know, gave it his all, and there was a point in time that you might have thought that maybe Daniel was gonna, come through and end up winning this match. But after really seeing the CM Punk match beating the Shield, I didn't think that both 3-on-1 matches, the one was gonna come out on top, and it wasn't to be. And Bray Wyatt ended up destroying Daniel Bryan. And at the end, he sort of like hugged him and kissed him and whatnot, and the match ended. But it was a very, very, very good match. Again, anytime you're in a match with Daniel Bryan, it's going to be fulfilling. So, I definitely really enjoyed that. So, all right, now we come to the main event, the unification of the WWE title and the World Heavyweight Championship belt, which will now be called the WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt or World Champion belt, whatever, however they want to do it. WWE Champion Orton versus World Heavyweight Champion Cena. A lot of people didn't want to see this match, and I understand why, just for the simple fact that we've seen it so many times in the past. But I will tell you this much: I thought John Cena and Randy Orton delivered in this match. Um, I thought there was a lot of brutal moves within the match. As far as the ring steps go, the ladder slamming, uh, going through the tables. Uh, John Cena looked like he wasn't going to give up, like he always does. And it really wasn't until Randy Orton went down below the ring, pulled up the mat, pulled out the handcuffs with the keys, and while John Cena was down, handcuffed John Cena to the ring rope. And that's where everything really, really changed. And Orton got very arrogant. You could see, he had that chip on his shoulder, that demented look. And John Cena trying everything he could, trying to break the chains of the handcuffs with a table. He tried it with a chair to no avail. But he finally unbolted the ring rope from the ring post. But Randy Orton was already climbing up the ring, or excuse me, up the ladder, going after the belts. John Cena went after him, uh, got Randy down. John Cena ended up climbing up the ladder. He ended up having the belts in his hands when Randy kicked the ladder below him. Cena was hanging from the belts. He eventually fell, and both were going at it once again. And to end it all, uh, Randy grabbed the ropes or the ring rope that John Cena was handcuffed to, yanked him off the ladder. Cena went down crashing headfirst onto the table. I think this was a mistake. I think Cena was supposed to crash through the table, but he did bang his head at the lower part of the table. And Randy sort of knew it was over, then. And he just slowly took his time. He climbed up the ladder. And with that, strange look that Randy always had, or always does have, slowly unhooked both belts and became the unified champion. And John Cena looked in disbelief, and John Cena looked pretty well battered. His face looked battered, and as I said it, I wasn't sure who was going to win, but as long as there was no interference, I was happy. Triple H, Stephanie, and Vince McMahon came out to congratulate Randy Orton, raised his arm, and the show ended. We'll have to wait and see what happens on Raw tonight. This is my review of TLC. Peace out, everybody.